All right, everyone. Good morning. Thursday morning. How are we all? Tony, Ryan, how's things, guys?
All good. Not as hot as you, but all good.
Roasting you. It's actually nice at the moment. We've got the aircon on and also like a fan revolving. Fascinating chat. How's things in Scotland? Is it must be getting chilly now, middle of November?
On the turn.
It's chilly, yes, but at least the sky is blue and it's nice and bright this morning. It's not that horrible grey colour that seems to be there 9 times out
We're
of 10.
actually doing weather chat. Are we actually doing weather chat live in front of thousands of people?
It's what they want to hear,
Yeah.
Hamish.
It's the international break, Hamish. This is what happens. It's. I think every topic is discussed on the international break, but it could be worse. We could be moaning about where Celtic are at the moment. We can't moan because Celtic are in such a good place. They're in a League Cup final. They're well on their way to get into the knockouts or the playoffs of the Champions League. They're 9 points clear of Rangers, level on points with Aberdeen. What's not to like about Celtic at the moment? It's just a very positive place to be and a positive team to talk about.
I thought when you said you're a fan there, Hamish, you just somebody beside you going, hey,
Genius. You're some laugh, Tony. Some laugh. Right,
that's
there's
what I fully expect. You know what I mean? When you're in a brim covered somewhere in Australia. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Byron Bay, if anyone's ever been it, people probably know it from the In-Betweeners movie more than anything. Second one. That is, I won't say any more on that topic.
That's literally all you can say.
Yeah. Things happening, guys. We get some Kasper Schmeichel quotes today. Chat a wee bit about Celtic women who lost last night to Chelsea, but I think come out of the game with a lot of credit from what I was reading. I didn't manage to catch the game. I know you want to chat a wee bit about Marvin Comper and a conversation you had with him, Ryan. I also noticed, guys, earlier today, incredibly, that it's 3 years since Bertie Auld left us. 14th of November 2021. One of our club's greats passed away. 3 years. It was one of those deaths that I don't know about you guys, but you remember where you were when you found out about it. Bit like Billy McNeil. Doesn't happen with every great, but I always think when you remember where you were at the exact moment when you got the notification or you saw the horrible message or whatever. And Bertie Auld is one of those people. I can't believe it's 3 years, Tony.
I mean, Bertie Auld hit me particularly hard because I was very friendly with him. He was just, I put it up on the website and I'll put it up again for the chat. That's the tribute I did to him in the Celtic Way for those who are interested. And he was just, I called him a force of nature and a man with a rapier wit. And he was everybody's pal. It wasn't just like Celtic supporters that adored him, and he was adored. Rangers supporters, Partick Thistle supporters, any supporter of Scottish football loved him. And he used to always say it took him like 3 hours to go to the shops because everybody stopped him, and he would sing a song, tell a joke to everybody, and he would give them a bit of Glasgow patter. And, he defined the term gallus. There's that wonderful picture after Celtic are beating Leeds United, and he's got a fedora hat on, and he's got the ball in his hand. And I always thought, you know what, it would make a brilliant statue of Bertie Auld. And also, people know my thoughts on this. I want the tunnel to be called the 10:30 tunnel at Celtic Park, and to have entertain, can they play, in various Bertie Auld witticisms adorning the tunnel. I just think it'd be a brilliant tribute. I've said it for 3 years since he passed away, and he was just a wonderful footballer, but he was an even better human being. He was just a wonderful man, and he was a brilliant guy to be around. Celtic supporters, I mean, he was adored. And I remember saying that when Billy McNeil passed away, he was Mr. Celtic, but Bertie Auld was Mr. Celtic. I said, and one of the greatest things he did, he bestowed the gift of Celtic to anybody and everybody that wanted it, whether they wanted it or not. Bertie Auld spoke to you about Celtic, and he was immensely proud of the fact that he played for the Lisbon Lions. but he never ever bragged about that. If he brought it up, great, but he would never ever tell people. And and I've a million and one stories about Bertie Auld, but oldest one before I met him on holiday in Cavos, of all places. I was walking up the hill, he was coming down the hill. It was the day Manchester United played Manchester City in 1-4-3. Michael Owen scored the winner in the derby. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking and I see this hairy-chested guy and I'm thinking, that's Bertie Auld. He's walking towards me. And I just go like that and he comes running down the hill and he always called me Tony, my son. So a big greeting. I says, come on, where are you going? He went, I've just told the wife I'm popping out for a loaf. Come on. So we went into this pub and we sat there and we watched this game and he never cracked a light. But we're sitting with Manchester United, Manchester City fans, and they were saying to me, Tony, the old geezer knows his football. And I said, I tell you what, I says, thank me for this. Get into the toilet. I says, go to the bar and get a notepad and a pen and form an orderly queue. And they were like, why? I says, that old geezer is 1967 European Cup winner and Celtic legend Bertie Auld. Played under Jock Stein. I said, and he knew Matt Busby and all of those guys the year after, the year before. Celtic Manchester United won it the year after. I said, so you can talk to him. That's why he knows his football. They couldn't believe it. And he sat there and with a drinks tab and he wanted to buy his all a drink and he kept saying, no, Bertie, no. So he stayed for a while and then he left. He said, Tony, I need to go. She said, the wife will be putting a APB out on me. He walked up, and as he walked up the hill, I said to the barman, I said, look, thanks for it. He went, you got the tab? He said, the old guy got the tab. So I jumped out and I said, Bertie! And he's just went like, I never even turned around. He just put his hand up and waved and kept walking because I was raging that he'd picked up the tab. And he was just, and that's the kind of man he was. I mean, he sat there a raconteur. He told 1,000,001 jokes, stories, and all the Manchester United, Manchester City fans loved it to the point where the game was incidental. They were just listening to Bertie Auld. And it was just a wonderful kind of experience, and I loved him to bits. I cannot speak highly of him. And 3 years, can't believe that either. I was in the house and it broke my heart when I heard.
Yeah. I only ever had one kind of close up with him, and I was working at Celtic, doing the Celtic Live app a number of years ago. You might remember that, and I walked past him, and I think he was always at the games, always giving kind of roles in hospitality, greeting people, etc. And I never even met him before, and he saw me and shouted over, "Oh, son, have you been in a grow bag or a grow bag all summer?" No idea what a grow bag even is, and I'd never met the guy before, and here he was playfully insulting me for my height, and I just thought, like, he must go through his life, if he's doing that to me he's never met before, having a laugh with someone he's never met before, doesn't know who I am. He must go through his entire life just having a laugh with everyone he comes across. As you say, it must take him hours to do simple tasks like getting the bread, but I guess we understand why that was the case now. What a great guy. I always remember same job when I was remember the Billy McNeill statue was unveiled, and that was December 2015, I think. So nearly 10 years ago. I always remember that being a really kind of important thing, and it's an amazing statue, that Billy McNeill statue. It's one of the best statues I've ever seen in my life. I think it's added so much to the front of Celtic Park. But the actual unveiling itself, I thought, was quite a kind of quiet affair, and sadly, I think Billy McNeill by that stage, the dementia had already was already affecting him. And I just remember Bertie Auld coming out during that, and the whole place just lighting up, and he started singing and telling jokes, and it was amazing seeing a place that had been quite kind of subdued just getting a hell of a lift from turning up. So incredible
my
guy.
Favourite Bertie Auld quote, and I don't know if this is apocryphal, but Bertie Auld played in every round right up to the final of the 1957 League Cup, right? And he was dropped for the final. Celtic won 7-1, obviously, right? And I don't think Bertie Auld went to the final. He just couldn't bring himself to go. I believe And I think it was a journalist that sought him out and found him and said, Bertie, League Cup finals been and gone. And he said, do you know what happened? And Bertie said, no, tell me. And he said, Celtic won 7-1. And Bertie always said to the journalist, that's a tragedy, son. That's a marvellous tragedy. And the journalist was just like, oh, right. And as I say, I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but I've only ever heard it attributed to Bertie Auld. And I thought, what a wonderful line. That's a tragedy, a marvellous tragedy, son. I think you can quote me on that. I just thought it's just typical of Bertie, isn't it? It's just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. What an amazing figure. Amazing. 3 years since Bertie Auld passed away. Ryan, how's things? How are you getting on?
Yeah, all good. Was just enjoying all the stories about Bertie Auld. He really was Mr. Celtic. I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but even though I never met him, it feels as if everybody knew him personally. He was that sort of personable character. Whenever you seen him on the TV doing an interview or in and around Celtic Park, through videos, through social media, everybody seemed to know him. And even if you'd never spoke to him before, as you said, he would always have the time of day to speak to everybody. And I know that he spoke to my late papa, who passed away a few years ago as well. The two of them always spoke when the two met up at Celtic Park. So he had this relationship with everybody. So many stories, so many funny stories. Some stories he can't even talk about on this podcast with some of his answers. That was just him. He was no filter. He was himself, and he was unapologetically himself. And that's all you would want from him. I remember in particular when there was a Lisbon Lions documentary, and he was talking about some of his pals passing away and being emotional about that. I'm sure they're all in the same place right now, all talking about their experiences throughout the years. Just a legend to the football club on and off the park, and he's very sadly missed. The club isn't the same without him, to be honest, because he was the living embodiment and the heartbeat of Celtic, you would say, for so many years.
Yeah, he certainly was. 3 years, as I say, since Bertie Auld passed away, 14th of November. Celtic women last night, narrow defeat to Chelsea. We took the lead as well. Murphy Agnew scored. I saw the goal, actually. It was a really, really good pass. I think it was Amy Gallagher with a brilliant pass, a really good finish. And your long shot chat yesterday, Tony, was looking good at that stage. Chelsea did come back and led by half time. Then there was no more goals in the second half, so it finished Celtic 1, Chelsea 2. But given the quality that Chelsea have and the riches of the English Super League as opposed to the SWPL, I think that's a relatively credible result for the team last night, as much as they lost.
Yeah, it's not a demoralising defeat whatsoever. It's actually a valiant effort against a really good Chelsea side, with internationalists littered throughout the team. I didn't manage to catch any of the game, but I did see that there was a pretty good atmosphere. I've seen the goal, as you were talking about. It was a great through ball and then a good finish by Agnew. Yeah, at least it wasn't demoralising. A really difficult opponent in Chelsea, Women's Super League, etc. But it's definitely something that they can work with, and that experience can only help Elena Sadiku and her squad by exposing themselves against teams like Chelsea, against 20, against Real Madrid. It can only help them going forward, having those experiences against better teams, and it can help them for the future.
I tuned in and watched it, Hamish, and I was getting really annoyed at the commentary because they just genuinely felt Chelsea were coming to Celtic Park to run up a cricket score. And we get that there was a golfing class, and obviously the bookies' odds told you that. But you forget there's two teams on the park, and they were doing a real disservice to Celtic women, who scored a wonderful goal and didn't look rattled at all by the occasion. If anything, it was Chelsea that were rattled by that, and thought Celtic women's team were excellent. And as I say, it was the commentary got on my nerves a wee bit. We get the fact that Chelsea are the dominating women's Super League team, and they've won the league for many years in succession. And this is their big tilt at the Champions League, the Women's Champions League. They kept telling us and banging on about it that this was a potential winners of the tournament. And I thought, is that right? Celtic put them in their place for a wee while anyway. And I was just willing Elena Sudoku's team to get a result, get an equaliser, because I just thought it's the same way you feel when English commentators start in their international teams in tournaments.
Yeah.
I just felt there was that undertone to it. They were very dismissive of Celtic, and the atmosphere that was created was great as well. I don't imagine
there'll be looked a good crowd.
There'll be many women's Champions League games with that kind of atmosphere and that kind of venue. So I was Helen Feeks was saying, is it very patronising commentary? I agree with that, Helen, completely. I had to switch the volume down, actually, because I just thought, I want to sit and watch this game. And I thought Celtic's goal was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What a through ball from Amy Gallagher, and what a finish. And just a shame that they couldn't hold on to that lead for, I think it was like 7 or 8 minutes that they held on to. Had they had any length of time, then they would have grown into the game, because they were actually playing really well at that point. But as Ryan said, a valiant effort, and just you're hoping that they're all the better for the experience of coming up against these sides. They know the bar and the level that they have to compete at now.
Yeah, a few people saying 7,000. Waza saying over 8,000 at the game last night. That's it's a pretty good crowd. I don't know, maybe I thought it'd be a wee bit more than that. I just saw some photos and I saw that they had the Celtic end and also a lot of people in the lower tier of the North Stand. So I thought it would be higher than that based off that. That's still a pretty good crowd, I would say. Not many teams in Scotland would get that, for any game. So that's good. 3 more games left as well, so maybe they can pick up a point at some stage, which I think would be a pretty good achievement. I just want to talk a wee bit about Kasper Schmeichel. Some quotes from him. He's away on international duty with Denmark. He's been speaking to Tipsbladet, the Danish outlet. I'm very satisfied. I've been playing really well and I love being part of the team. It's a cool style of play that we have and it suits me really well. We've had a good start, but it's not about how you start. I can't complain. We played really good football. The past week has been typical for our team. In pre-season, we beat City and Chelsea, and then we took it further and beat Leipzig in the Champions League. We are in a good place and we can play many different types of matches. Anything but a victory is a failure. I feel super cool about that. It's a completely different type of pressure than what I've been used to in my career. It's a new experience. And he was asked about his contract situation. He signed a 1-year deal, but there is a option of an extension. He said, one thing at a time. It is an option for another year, but we will take that at some point next year. So no rush from Kasper there, Ryan.
Yeah, and I think he will take up that option for the second year. I hope so, because we've not seen anything of Viljami Sinisalo to suggest that he can instantly just jump into the first team. We've not seen him at all. In fact, we've seen him in pre-season, but apart from that, there's been no competitive games that he's made an appearance. So Schmeichel's been a tremendous signing, one of the best signings in recent years. I would say they've actually done really well in that regard for the past 2 goalkeepers. Joe Hart for I think it was just over $1 million from Tottenham. Then you get Kasper Schmeichel for free. That's really good scouting and really good from the contacts book from Brendan Rodgers as well. Although it was criticised at the time, I did criticise it too. I was like, I wanted Celtic to go for a younger goalkeeper, but he's been absolutely tremendous. I don't think he's put a foot wrong or a hand wrong since his arrival at the club. And that performance against Kilmarnock was his best one yet. Just a really authoritative performance at the back. That save from Matty Kennedy was tremendous. It looked as if it was going in the back of the net up until Schmeichel's intervention. So, yeah, I'm delighted with him in between the sticks at Celtic at the moment, and I hope he stays for as long as possible. I guess the one negative surrounding Schmeichel is his age. Unfortunately, I wish Celtic had him 10 years when he was 10 years younger, but he was playing in the Premier League down at that point. So it's good that Celtic have finally got him. You've just got to enjoy him while he's here and he's at this level, because he's playing at a really, really high level at this moment in time.
These old guys, Tony and Hamish, frightening, isn't it? What I mean? Experience. Actually, I was talking about myself here. I mean,
dear. I thought I was getting called old for a minute.
Not in the slightest. He's talking about me. Talking about the grey-haired old dad in the top right of my screen as I'm looking. You know what I mean? Give you a laugh. I remember, I think Sweden's got 2 papers, Tipsbladet and Aftonbladet. And when I was...
Denmark.
Denmark. I think there's Aftonbladet in Sweden, I believe. Something like that. And somebody said to me when I was at the record at some point, phone Aftonbladet, and I actually thought that was a guy's name. So I looked on the phone, I rang the number. Can I speak to Aftonbladet, please? The guy's like, who? And I'm like, is that Aftonbladet? I had to explain to me that it was the name of the newspaper. It was like somebody asking to speak to Daily Record. You know what I mean? Oh man, I was just like that. The impetuosity of youth. You know what I mean? A wee bit older and wiser now and more stupid. But but there you go. No, I listen. I don't think anybody can have any qualms. We spoke about it the other day about the goalkeepers. Past couple of goalkeepers, older and experienced though they may be, they've brought something invaluable to Celtic. And Joe Hart was great, but Kasper Schmeichel's come in and it's just been that succession plan in terms of continuity. It's been absolutely wonderful. And as Ryan says there, that's the only thing that goes against Kasper Schmeichel, isn't it? His age. But I think he'll certainly sign on for another year because I think he'll have loved it. And Joe Hart will have told him, play as long as you can. And if you still think you're able to compete and perform at that level, then do it. Joe Hart said himself, he got to 37, 38 and just felt it was the right time to go. And everybody said to him, you look as if you can play. You still look as if you can play. You look fit and healthy. And he said, yeah, that may be. But I know myself. So I think Kasper Schmeichel will get to the same kind of, not say crossroads, but he'll reach the same end point when he will turn around and he'll be honest and he'll say, I can't do this anymore, or I don't feel my body's up to it anymore. But hopefully that's not for a while. I mean, the legendary Dino Zoff played till he was 40, won the World Cup with Italy when he was 40, didn't he? He was very much an anomaly as a goalkeeper. But, it's one of those specialised positions that if you look after yourself, you can play for a long time. And as long as he's producing performances like Atalanta and Bergamo and Sunday at Kilmarnock, then goalkeepers are worth their weight in gold, aren't they? And I have no qualms about our last two goalkeepers. Love Joe Hart, and I'm loving Kasper Schmeichel and what he's done so far since he came in.
Yeah, he's just turned 38, Schmeichel, and he's playing exceptionally well. In the last month, he's had Bergamo when he's fabulous. His best performance for us. He was great against Kelly at the weekend. He's kept numerous clean sheets. He was really made a few really big saves when he was called upon against Leipzig as well. So it doesn't seem like he's nearing the end at all. I know Joe Hart is and was really is slightly younger. It did maybe feel like Hart was nearer the end. I think Hart had more ups and downs in his career, and I think he spoke about it himself. He spoke about Celtic giving him a feeling he never thought he would have again, and not wanting to chance his luck too much. I can't remember the exact phrase he used, but he basically said, I'm going to quit while I'm on top here. And I think that's a really top decision for Joe Hart. Point I'm making is I think Kasper Schmeichel's had a kind of smoother career generally. Maybe didn't, I don't know if this is controversial, maybe didn't quite play as high as Joe Hart club-wise. Joe Hart played for Man City, who were winning the Premier League. Schmeichel did win the league with Leicester, but you know what I mean? It wasn't quite a Man City, but Schmeichel's obviously had a fabulous career. But it just feels to me like it's been a kind of a calmer career than Joe Hart, and it feels to me like Schmeichel's got a few more years left. I don't know how many exactly. I think he'll sign a year extension. I'm pretty sure he'll be a number one next season. Beyond that, I think you're kind of potentially looking at a little bit too much. I think we might get 2 years out of Schmeichel, maybe a third if we're very lucky. But I think we just need to enjoy him while we've got him, because he's a top goalkeeper. I mean, we've got Denmark's number one goalkeeper at the club. It's fabulous.
It certainly is, yeah, and they've got a really good sort of collection of backup goalkeepers as well that are waiting to get through. But there's this 38-year-old that's still getting played ahead of those players that are waiting to get in there. He had to move away. Correct me if I'm wrong. He had to move away from Man City because of Joe Hart. because Joe Hart was in it might have been just before then, but I know that he started his career at Man City with Joe Hart before moving away. Really found his feet at Leicester, became, a club legend there. And that was my one worry about Kasper Schmeichel, because I did read a couple of things about his game sort of regressing at Leicester ever so slightly, but it must have just been a personal thing, because I've not seen any regression in his football whatsoever. I had a look at what he was doing at Anderlecht last season, and he was keeping Anderlecht in a lot of games because they had a bit of a terrible season. So he was definitely kept busy and in between the sticks and making those saves. So that was encouraging. And then I think those games against Man City and Chelsea, when he was making those big saves, the saves that you would expect from Schmeichel, the ones that you see him making during Leicester's title run, the fact that he was still doing them, and especially against the calibre of player that he was saving from, the likes of Erling Haaland and Kunku, etc., being able to pull off those top saves, even in a pre-season friendly, I think made everybody more confident about the goalkeeper and what he could bring to the team. And since then, he's been pretty much spotless. But it's not just the goalkeeping; it's the distribution on the ball. It's went to another level this season for Celtic. His distribution, both throwing the ball out from the back and in terms of his passing, has allowed Celtic to go on transitions so much quicker than they were under Joe Hart the season before. And that's no slight on Joe Hart, because he was a player that was maybe not the best part of his game, his distribution. He had to really work on that in order to be competent at it. But for Schmeichel, it seems to come to him naturally. And it's helping Celtic just now. I mean, from back to front, it's so quick. Celtic in the counter-attack, or from one end of the pitch to the other. And it's certainly helping at this moment. So it's been an inspired signing from Celtic. At that summer window, I know there was a lot of criticism about how long it took players to come in. You look pound for pound at every player; they're all making a difference in the team, and it was
he didn't
really,
even cost
really good.
A pound, did he?
I know and he was the first signing, wasn't he? He was or was it Sinisalo and Schmeichel? I think they were both signed within a day of each other, so that position was sorted, and then Celtic could focus on outfield players. But yeah, it was an inspired signing from Brendan Rodgers, and he clearly knew what he was getting with Schmeichel, which is brilliant.
That's been the big thing for me. His distribution has been absolutely brilliant. He could play as an outfield player.
Yeah,
he's really good. His passing is sensational. There was one in particular at Rugby Park where he just broke the lines, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I thought, see if a midfielder plays that pass, or Xavier Iniesta plays that pass, you rave about it. And it just came so natural to him. There was no hint of panic or anything. He just looked up and he played it, and along the deck on that surface, and that, you just think to yourself, wow, you really are everything that a modern day goalkeeper should be, and you encapsulate everything that a modern day goalkeeper should be. That guy that can come out, he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. I mean, the dummy he did, and the Kilmarnock player as well. Just at a time when Celtic were maybe under the cosh, so to speak, but just having that confidence to do that, and be in tune so quickly with the rest of his teammates. I can't praise him highly enough, Kasper Schmeichel. And he does do things, and his job's to keep the ball out the net. But he would be the first to turn around and say, "That's what I do." But it's the aplomb with which he's doing it, and he doesn't look any of 38 years of age, does he? He doesn't look any of it at all. He's jumping about like a teenager in goal, and long may that continue.
I think especially at Champions League level, we've been crying out for someone with that confidence. And the thing, like, if I was to use a word to describe Schmeichel, it would just be calm. He's just so calm, and that must have a hell of an effect on our other players. When we're trying to work our way out of tough situations, like we did against Leipzig, and not panicking, knowing that you've got a goalkeeper there who is another outfielder when you've got the ball these days. Your goalkeeper is, an attacker effectively, starts the attacks, etc. And he just never panics. And a lot of the time, he doesn't need to find a 40-yard diagonal. He can do that, but he doesn't need to. A lot of the time, it's just calm yourself. I think Joe Hart was talking about it last week. Stand on the ball, wait for your players to move, and then just keep it moving. He's been brilliant, and he's making big saves as well. And And that's something we've needed, I think, to get big results in Europe. And when you look at the best Celtic teams in the Champions League over the years, it was when Artur Boric was in goals, and it was when Fraser Forster was in goals. The best campaigns, the only campaigns we've ever made the last 16 have been with those two goalkeepers. So you need a goalkeeper who's going to make big saves, and Schmeichel did that. I thought that one in the second half against Leipzig, down low to his left, I don't think that's been getting the credit it deserves. And Bergamo as well, the one with his feet from whoever it was, the Italian guy, wasn't it, Retegui? He's been brilliant, hasn't he? So we love him.
Yeah, he just goes about his business, to be honest. I like that, and I like that he's just slowly but surely building up that rapport with the fans as well. Yeah, after the game against Leipzig and the game against Kilmarnock especially, he was really lapping it up with the supporters and the away end at Rugby Park. I like to see that. I always remember the quote that he brought out, or he said shortly after joining, saying that he wants to be one of the lads in the group. You know, he's a 38-year-old, but he's only a 38-year-old by number, not in the way that he acts. He wants to have that camaraderie with the younger players as well, and he seems to show that, and he has a really good relationship with his fellow defenders and players further forward as well. So yeah, good to see that. A really inspired signing from Brendan Rodgers, and here's hoping he's here for a few more years yet at this top level that he's playing at the moment.
You were chatting to Marvin Comper. I think we mentioned this recently, Ryan, but the interview is out now. People can read about Bold Marvin and his time at Celtic.
Yeah, they certainly can, and there was quite a few topics that were discussed with Marvin Comper, who is a German international as well. He actually made his debut against, he made one appearance for Germany against England. So I actually was speaking to him about Thomas Tuchel as well. It was quite an interesting response he gave with regard to that. A really storied career, and really unfortunate with the way that it all transpired at Celtic. That does get explained in the interview. You know, there was really bad injury issues, and then all of a sudden, once those injury issues were sorted, other players were ahead of him in the pecking order, which happens in football, you know. And when you're 32, 33 and you've not really made an appearance, then you're not going to be relied upon to get games. But we spoke about many things. We spoke about his time facing adversity in Germany, because he played for RB Leipzig when they were making their way through the leagues. And if you know anything about German football, you know how disliked RB Leipzig are, and the sort of fan ownership side of German football. But he also experienced that at Hoffenheim, and I didn't realise that until speaking to him, that they're owned by a billionaire, a sort of a business billionaire, and they get the same sort of treatment that Leipzig do, because it's very much a sort of monopoly of a team that want to spend, and they've got there through his money. But we spoke about that. We spoke about his time in Italy, played for Fiorentina, and then we spoke about his coaching career, because he's very close with Ralf Rangnick, and he actually got his first head coach role for 6 months when he was managing Lokomotiv Moscow. And the reason for that was Ralf Rangnick got the call from Man United, and he went over. But then the rest of that coaching setup stayed, including Marvin Comper, who was the assistant manager. So he was coaching for 6 months during the conflict as well between Russia and Ukraine. So that was interesting to speak about as well. That's available on the website. I've kind of gave it all away, but as a quite a good article, and anybody who wants to check it out, I'll put the link in the description, or I'll put the link in the comments section. Thank you very much, Tony. It is interesting, and I wish it worked out better for him, because he's a tremendous guy to speak to, impeccable English, and just a good guy to speak to. I was speaking to him for about half an hour about his career. Really interesting.
Yeah, it's in the comment section, guys, if you want to have a look at that right now, and it's on the website as well, so have a go. It's very good. Yeah, you get players like that. It just doesn't happen for them at Celtic. It's not the first and last. That'll happen too, no doubt. But they're always good to speak to and get their take on things. I remember doing the same with Dirk Richter and Stuart Slater, those guys who came in, and so there's two sides to every story, isn't there? You have a kind of what's out there in internet and the ether, and then they can tell you as well. So you kind of connect the dots, don't you, and join the lines and stuff. So yeah, they're always interesting people, and they've always got a story. So check that out. It's very good interview by Ryan on Marvin Compert on the site.
Great stuff. Definitely. Anything else today, guys?
I'm sort of racking my brains. There is another interview coming later on this week that Tony conducted with another former Celtic defender, a defender that got admittedly more games than Marvin Compert did for Celtic, including a massive result, probably Celtic's biggest result in Europe, out with the Inter Milan result and the Leipzig result recently. In terms of Celtic Park, definitely 125th anniversary. Give you a hint. One of the defenders that played that night, and it isn't Effie Ambrose. So make your own mind up about who that
is. That's a very good clue. Yeah, that's coming up on the site as well. So look out for that over the weekend. Smell the gloves.
Got it.
Right in there.
Right. Shoot it in. Right. Yeah, that is. That's a really good interview as well. I read that, and it's scheduled for, I believe it's Sunday morning. It's coming out. So yeah, a really good interview, and he touches upon a lot of misconceptions about his career as well. And I like that about players that maybe it hasn't worked out for them, or there's maybe a story going about. He sets the record straight about his homesickness and that, and talking to Neil Lennon about his homesickness. So check that out when it comes out at the weekend. It's a really good interview from Tony with Kelvin Wilson.
See, international break, we don't stop, Ryan, do we? We keep going. We try and bring you some quality content, and we keep working through, because we dread international break more than anybody, because we think what we're going to write about. But we're always busy. We're always trying to provide decent content, or top quality content, as we think it is. So yeah, check them out and you'll enjoy them.
Yep, you are working hard, and you'll be working without me tomorrow, I'm afraid. So the two of you will be on, I assume, and there'll be stuff. You're not on either.
Oh no, right. I don't know who Ryan's going to draft.
A Ryan solo show.
Dip into his contacts book and bring somebody in, I believe.
Marvin wants to come on. Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
I need to put out the bat signal or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there will be a video, everyone. So tune in for that. And between now and then, if you fancy subscribing, that would be much appreciated. We're really trying to get the numbers going. Loads of them. Hundreds of these legends have been subscribing. Maybe thousands. I don't know over the last wee period. So if you're watching this and you've just realised I've not subscribed to those legends, give it a go. Absolutely free, completely free, and you can be notified when we go live and all cool things like that. Right, okay, we'll head off then. It's been fun today. We're gradually getting through the break, guys, and Ryan will be on tomorrow with someone else, I'm sure. Thanks, everyone. We'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys.